Hello and welcome to DAHCKRAM Studios. Today we're going to learn all about how to duplicate radio buttons in Adobe Acrobat. We're going to go over some other things too, other form-related items, certain fields. You're going to learn a lot, so let's get started. Mainly the reason you're here watching this video is because you couldn't find anything on how to duplicate radio buttons. Here's all kinds of searches on Adobe's sites with a lot of unanswered questions on how to duplicate radio buttons. None of them are answered completely. You'll find people saying, oh, you got to make a custom script or just use checkboxes instead. But it's really not that hard. And I don't know why more people haven't came up with solutions, because it's relatively simple. You know, people trying to sell these scripts. Even on YouTube, there's nothing like my video that I'm putting up whenever I'm done with this. They're all how to make the radio buttons like one set, but that's where it stops. Duplicating buttons, that's duplicating buttons, not radio buttons. So let's get going here. Let's open up my PDF form that I created here called Radio Buttons Form. I designed this in Corel Draw, and it's just a simple form with some random things we're going to use for this video. So first thing we got to do is get this to detect the form fields. So in Acrobat, you got to go to More Tools if you don't have the thing that we're looking here for called Prepare Form. I'm going to add that to my shortcuts over here. So first thing we do is click on Prepare Form. And here's our form right there. And make sure you've got Form Field Auto Detection set to On. Sometimes this works wonderful, sometimes it's a mess, but we're going to see what we get here. It detected this, but it looks a little wonky there. It got all these checkboxes. It really botched up this table, but none of this matters because we're going to fix it all anyway. No matter what, if it does a good job or a bad job, you're going to be over here in this list of all these fields and changing lots of things all the time. So before I get started with the radio buttons, let's just go ahead and fix this here. I'm just going to show you some quick aligning options or how to align things, you know, right off the bat here. So looking at this line right here, the city-state zip, looks perfect height and everything for all the fields to make this work. Looks like they got the name, belongs down here. We got the, or that's the address one. So here's the name. So let's just go ahead and rename this to name, and change this one, name to address. And they're backwards. Let's move name to the top of the list. And boom, boom. All right, so we want to get all these to be the same height right here as the city-state zip. So basically I'm going to select all of these. They're all highlighted. I don't care about those two because we want to make them all to be this same height as city. So you pick the one that you want to make the same height as. So if I right-click on city and tell it to set fields the same side height, it's going to make all the other fields the same height. So now those are good there. So now we'll just put this up here on this line, put this up on this line, and move these back to where they need to be. And if you wanted to align them all, highlight them all, right click, and align, distribute, left. So now they're all perfectly aligned to the left. And you could size these to whatever. If you wanted to have them all sized like this, you could do that. And again, we'll just go align them all to that one's left. And we can bring these sides in here a little bit. Doesn't need to take up the whole box. No one's going to type that far. So, oops, don't want to do that one. I want to do this one. Nope, still not that one. Come on. Alright, so let's see if we can grab this one this time. Still getting the state. So let's just move state over once. Grab this one. There we go. So that's pretty good for our address information there. So let's see what else we've got created here and we need to mess with. These looks like these are all check boxes. Yep, they're all check boxes. You can see over here on the right. So it picked up those perfectly. And that's what we want them to be for that, is check boxes. This is all wrong here. We don't need any of this. Don't know where that came from. And really don't need any of those fields. So I'm just highlighting them all, hitting delete on the keyboard. They're bye-bye. These two here, signature and date, could be a little higher up. Let's make that higher up. And we'll right-click on this and say set the same size height. And basically, I'll just align that field back to the bottom. Boom. Now they're the same height and they're aligned to the bottom. Alright, this we don't need this. Oh yeah, don't forget, while we're doing this right now, subscribe to DAHCKRAM Studios. Hit that subscribe button. Did you do it? Alright. So now here's another field here. We're just going to go ahead and delete that one. And it made a big old text block field here, which I'm going to delete that too because we're not going to need that. And then it made, looks like some more check boxes here. It picked up those circles as, you know, we're going to turn this into radio buttons down the line. So let's go ahead and blow those out. Alright, so now we've done the alignments on all these things at the top here for the most part. Let's get into what this tutorial video is all about. Making radio buttons and duplicating radio buttons. I'm going to show you a few different methods and show you how easy it is, because apparently it's very complicated for people. So I'm going to go ahead and start right now. This is the radio button tool at the top. I'm going to click it to make one radio button. And I'm going to drop it right here somewhere in the middle of this checkbox for, or in this box for yes. So now we got a radio button. And we're going to name this, I'm going to put Q1 since that's question 1. Alright, now we've named it Q1 and we're going to call the box name yes. Alright, so I just made one button and I want to duplicate this. Basically, you can hit Control and drag it over here. And you'll see when you let go, you'll have another choice in here. And you can name that choice to be no. So now we've got a yes and a no checkbox all by itself. That's one question, one yes, no. So if we preview this form, you'll see yes, no. Toggles back and forth. Yes or no. That's what it's supposed to do. Now, how do we duplicate this? What if we want to go all the way down this row? It's not as straightforward as you may think. So let's go back into our prepare form here where we can edit the form. And it's a little confusing on how it works. I'm going to show you. This is method 1. And if you want to take these all the way down, you would think, yes, I could just go here and hit Control-C for copy. Or you right-click and hit copy. And then Control-V for paste. Or you could right-click and say paste. And wow, we got a duplicate. But what happened here? It put another yes, no in this Q1. That's not going to help us because it's still in Q1. And that's what's confusing to people is, alright, I need to still make another 4 more of these, but they're all going to be in Q1 group. That doesn't help me. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this some more times. Make it even more confusing. Alright, so I duplicated where they're all in the Q1 group. A bunch of yes, no's. Well, let's align these here. I'm going to show you some alignment tricks here. We're going to take this and this, get them about where you want them centered in the box. First, we're going to do align and distribute bottom, so we know they're both the same height there. And we'll do the same thing here. Align, distribute bottom. I'm going to take this whole column right here, and I'm going to right click on the one that I think is centered the most, this one, and I'm going to say align distribute vertically. So now they're all straight up and down perfectly. And I'm going to do one more time. I'm going to right click and align distribute, but distribute vertically. So it's going to make them all perfectly distance from each other. And you could actually do that same thing to this column, but to even make it faster, since we're duplicating these, I'm just going to dump that all together. So now we got all yeses. And I'm going to come over here, and if you hold down Control while you drag, which I'm doing, I'm holding Control, it's dragging out another copy of this. And you can see I'm moving around. And if I hit Shift while I Control, it's going to keep it in a straight line. So right now, boom, I just duplicated that column. And it's all aligned just like the first column was. So if I select all these again right here, you'll see all these yeses are highlighted. Now, we're still working with all this. We haven't technically duplicated. These are all redundant of each other, Q1, Q1, Q1. But if you right-click on any one of these and go to Properties, for when you have multiple selections like that, you can change all these to No relatively easy by going to Options and typing No in the Options tab in Properties. And when you hit Close, you'll see nothing changed there. One change. You got to mouse over them. It's just a glitch in Acrobat, I guess, but it did it. So now we've got a bunch of yeses and a bunch of no's, but if we go in here to preview this, they're all not going to function the way you want to, because right now it's only going to let, this is all one group. It's only going to let one button be picked out of all these choices here, basically. So let's go back to our editor here, and here's where the easy part, or the fun part, kicks in. So this is all named Q1, but they're all in this one group called Q1. So we're going to go down the line. This is Q1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm highlighting these two right here. I'm right-clicking on them and going to Properties. Now, on the very first tab called General is where you can type in the group name. So I got those two highlighted. I'm going to go in here and type 2. Boom, now that's called Q2. You see that? And now it broke those out, yes and no's in the right spots there. So you don't even have to close this box either. I'm selecting those, and now I'm going to put Q3. Boom, Q3. Selecting those. Now this is Q4. Q4. Select those. Q5. And one more. Q6. Alright, so now we did it. It's that easy. We got Q1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we go to preview it, we've got all these things. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And they toggle back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. That's pretty easy, huh? It's not too confusing once someone lays it out the way it's supposed to work. So method 1 is almost done. So we're going to go ahead and close this. Actually, we've got to go back to prepare form, and we'll go down, and let's say this one here, we've got we want to add a third one on this one. So it's, again, we'll do the same thing here. I'm hitting Control, and then I also am hitting Shift, so it keeps it in a straight line, putting it in the center, let go, and now we've got this is still a Q6, no problem, and we'll just change the name of this to, now you can change the names of things here onesies easily right here, so you could double click to bring up to change it, or I'm just a keyboard guy, so I hit F2. So we'll put yes, no, question mark. So I think we can use a question mark. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to save this form while we're doing this right now, just to, in case we lose anything. So I'll just stomp on top of the original one there. And so now let's say, I'm going to show you another little trick. Still using, this is the method 1. We got 2 more methods of copying, duplicating these fields. But let's say you're working on a form. This is just extra bonus form tips that I'm giving you here. Let's say you've got someone types in the name on the form, and you want to have the name appear somewhere else without having to type it in. It's very simple. I'm going to hit Control-C to duplicate this name. I'm going to go down to this form spot that I made previously ahead of time. I'm going to hit Control-V. And now I just pasted this name in here. I'm going to size the field to fit the line there, make it a little higher. So now you'll see it named on page 2. It's called name $1. I'm going to use $, not hashtag or number sign. It's pound. All right, so $1 is the name of that. So anytime you got something named with a field name that's called, name, there can't be two field names that have the same name, but there can, as long as Adobe, or you put, if it's a duplicate, it's going to have 0, then 1, and they're basically one and the same throughout the whole form. So if we go to preview this and we type in the top here, or we could have started down there. If we type in Mark Lee, you'll see also it redundantly fills it out down here too. And then let's go back in here and edit. So let's say you wanted this text to be centered here. You could right click on properties and go to the options tab and say align center, and there you go. So now the text is centered. So you can do this also, which is a little more complicated. Let's say you wanted these radio buttons to do that same thing. You can't just copy and paste them. It will not work because it's a little bit different scenario to be able to make these work the same. So I've got this are you a boy or girl here. I'm going to again copy this, Control-C, and I'm going to come down here to where I started this one and go Control-V. And let's just put these somewhere near these things. And we'll align these bottom, and that's looking pretty good. All right, so with this, now let's just show you what's going to happen here. I'm going to go, if I click on this, they're two separate ones. So there's a, if you see this, I've got one dot at the first one, and now this one, they're actually combined. So because we made the copy, there's all these are the same thing. So I'm picking between 6 different boxes on 2 different pages because of the way they're named. So if you see there again, we've got this Q6 on page 2 or page 1. They're basically all in cahoots with each other. Now, if you want to make them be able to be redundant of each other, then you have to do something else. So this Q6 on page 1, I'm going to right click on this and go to properties, and we're going to go to this options tab here, and you see this button with the same name and choice are selected in unison. So I'm going to hit that check mark right there and then close. And now let's go to the preview. So I got this on the center here. You'll also see it's in the center. So now they're in cahoots with each other to where they're both named Q6, but no matter what I check on this one, it's going to do the exact same thing there. And let's zoom out and I can show you how that's working. So now these are combined, kind of like the name is combined, but we had to go through a little more steps to make those be the same. So if we had a reason to have the same question on 2 pages, or other places in the form the same set of radio buttons, you could do that by checking that one checkbox in the properties of the radio button, which is in the options tab right here. Buttons with the same name and choice are selected in unison. Alright, so that was method 1 on how to duplicate radio buttons, and we showed you some other stuff in between there. Let's go ahead and just blow everything out of here. I'm going to get rid of all these radio buttons again. Let's zoom back in to 100%. Alright, so I'm killing everything. That was method 1 on duplicating buttons. Method 2 is a little more complicated, but not necessarily. It's just a different way to do it. Alright, so let's go ahead and drop another radio button in here. I'm going to just going to drop one more right here in the yes box. So now with this method, you're going to see, now I'm only going to make one button group. That's it. It's just one button. You can just ignore the fact that it said you needed 2 or more or whatever. If you right click here, you're going to see some options in the right click menu now. One says create multiple copies, and the other one says duplicate across pages. You'll never want to use duplicate across pages, but at least I can't figure out a reason why, and I don't really completely understand it. But if I say duplicate across all pages, let's just do it. Now it's going to change the name to a set of numbers that it decides, and then also put another one here. So it's kind of like the duplication we did here, but it keeps them all separate still. I don't know. We're not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to delete this one, and we're going to delete this one. I'm just going to re-add it. So, all right, let's drop another radio button down here, and we're going to call this again Q1, and we're going to leave it just like that. Nope, Q1. So I showed you already the duplicate across pages, which just, I don't know, there's no reason to use that I can see anywhere. But create multiple copies, this is one that will allow you to set things up a little more precision, I suppose, but you can do a lot at once also. So what this allows us to do is duplicate this as many times as we want down the page. So if I go take this off to where we're going to have none across, all we want is down. So I'm doing 7 down, even though there's 6. You want to add one more, and I'll show you why. It's mainly because the way it does the numbering of them. And you can adjust the height of these to fit exactly how you want it. So I'm just bumping it up till the bottom one is about centered where I want it, or close enough, because we can still align them later, but that's pretty aligned there. And we've got one past the bottom there, which we can't see till I say okay. So I'm duplicating these, and now we've got a bunch of Q1s across the board here. That's not what we wanted to do. What I wanted to do, I'm gonna Control Z, undo this. We forgot to hit a checkbox. So if I do this again, I go align, or I go to create multiple copies, and take this back down to 1, and we make this be 7 again, and we will push these out, spread them out a little bit, make them fit in the box close enough, or close as we can. So now there's one checkbox here. We want to do copy radio buttons in different groups. So this gives us right off the bat different group for each one. Instead of having all Q1s on the copy, it's going to do its own numbering system, and you'll see why we add this extra one, because when we do it, it starts the numbering with 0, where why would you want it to start with 0 when you do numbers? So I always just add an extra one, so we got 1 through 6. Those are the ones we need. I'm dumping off this top one, and now we can just move these up to where we want them. So now we've got them. They're Q1.1.5, 1 through 6, which is exactly what we wanted to do. We've got 6 different groups, and we can easily change the choice names. If I want to go in here to change the choice one to be, to be yes, I right click, go to properties. We've done this before. Change choice 1 to YES and close. So again, it doesn't change over there until you mouse over. It's just a glitch in Adobe Acrobat. Then this is the newest version at the time of me doing this. So to duplicate this to be nose, I'm going to hold Control. That automatically duplicates. I'm hitting Shift at the same time to keep it exactly straight across. And let go. And now we've got a bunch of yeses. We can right click, Properties, change these to be nose. And again, mouse over, and they mysteriously turned to nose. So this one we had also the question mark at the end. I'll duplicate that one, and we'll call this one question mark. Question mark. All right, so that is basically method 2. We duplicated the same thing. It makes its own numbers up for you, which you just have to deal with that fact. You don't have any control, but you can knock out 50, 20, 100, however many you wanted to, all at once. And then if you had more than yes and no, you had 10 things going across there, you could easily just start duplicating them down the line. Fast and easy, which is the whole purpose of this video, is to make it fast and easy for you. So that's method 2. Now I'm going to show you method 3, which I'm just going to basically delete all these again here and do another quick one. So I'm going to create another radio button. This time I'm going to make a whole set because we want to duplicate this set. And I'm going to call this one Q1, and we're going to call this yes. And I'm going to say add another button. We haven't done that yet also. You can make a whole set of buttons if you want to as you're going here in the same group. So it's going to be Q1, and we're going to call this no. And now we've got a button set. Let's go ahead and align these. Let's show the other method that, like I said, is a little different than the other ones, because I want to duplicate this, and I want to keep all the formatting the way, because I like the way it's all laid out here. I'm going to hit Control-C to copy this, and now if you want to be able to get something with a different number right off the bat and not stack things back inside of this one, I Control-C and hit copy. So now I'm going to take and basically rename this to Q whatever, Q11, doesn't matter. I'll just rename that. So now that's Q11, and now I'm going to hit Control-V to paste, and it pastes back in our Q1s again. That's one way to get things split out of the group, or making the groups as you go, instead of having to go split out the choices. You can just go ahead and keep the group, make a new group every time. So, all right, so now we're going to go ahead and make another copy of this. So I got to hit Control-C again and go to Q1, rename it. So it's on the clipboard. I'm just going to change it to 6 and click out here and Control-V, and now we got another Q1. So if you want to do it again, you can just do Control-C and rename Q1 to Q something else, Q8, and V. So that's ways to get a copy and paste and get a different name, or get a different group name. So that's about it on the radio buttons. I think we went over every possibility of copying and pasting the radio buttons, or duplicating them for that matter. And that's exactly what the goal of this tutorial was. But I'm going to show you one little bonus thing here, and that's you got these forms you fill out, and check these boxes here. Fill stuff out. Whoops, I don't want to do signatures. So when you save these forms, they can be saved as they are. I just saved that it's going to have whatever I've typed in these forms, basically. And to clear it is not the funnest thing, you know, especially if you don't have the full version of Acrobat. You could give this form to somebody, it's filled out, you might want to clear it, or someone typed in that you didn't have a copy of an empty form. You know, to go into clear, I could go into this prepare form here And in the editor, you can click on More and hit Clear Form, and that resets it. And it takes all the stuff out of these checkboxes also that we had here. I guess we didn't really align those too well, but that's okay. It also takes out any radio buttons that have been selected and or checkboxes. So we go back in here and we'll do Clear Form again, so it's empty again. So hit Clear Form. So what I really want to do here is I'm going to show you how to make a button that you can put on the form that will automatically clear the form anytime you want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it at the very top corner here. So if we want to make a button, this is a button here. So I'm going to click on OK here to bring a button down. I'm going to just drop it here. And we're going to call this button Clear Form. And we're going to go into the properties of the Clear Form. And on this page here, you can see it's called Clear Form. And I'm just going to leave the default fonts, whatever, I don't care. And the main thing we got to do is go to the Options tab and put our button label in here, which is Clear Form. And then on the Actions tab, we're going to go here and select an action. And we're going to scroll down here and look for Reset a Form. And then we're going to hit Add. And basically, you want it to be able to reset every field in the whole form. So we hit OK and then Close. So now when we preview the form, you'll see if I start checking these radio buttons and some of these check boxes and put in the name, which again you'll see fills automatically here. So anytime you want to clear it, you just hit Clear Form, boom, it resets the form. So that's about it for this tutorial. I think we've gone over everything we need to do about radio buttons and duplicating them. So please subscribe to DAHCKRAM Studios and let me know if you want more Acrobat tutorials. And y'all have a wonderful day. Please subscribe to DAHCKRAM Studios to see more of our cool videos.